Hey everyone, welcome back to Taproot TV. I'm Benna Hughes and I'm here today with Marcus Miller. You all met Marcus back in December, I guess, and we were talking about a medical error that happened at Vanderbilt Hospital, and we're doing a follow-up of this today. How are you, Marcus?
I'm good.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. This is an issue that affects everyone. Anybody who has to have a medical procedure at all should be concerned about what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. I think it's probably good to go back and do a review of what happened at Vanderbilt with this fatal medication error.
Yes.
And give an update, because the update is pretty tragic in
It's
itself.
very tragic.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of issues that may be caused. But just going back to Vanderbilt and what happened, it was so tragic, we decided to use it as the basis for our patient safety course. So we did put together a snap chart, and we do have a sequence of events. And I'm going to go ahead and read just through the main sequence of events, just as a reminder of what happened at Vanderbilt. We had a patient that requested something for anxiety because she was scheduled for a PET scan. And in the PET scan, you go through a metal tube and you sit in there, and the patient was claustrophobic. She requested something for anxiety, and the physician said, yeah, got it, put an order together for a sedative. So the primary nurse was pretty busy, so she called a help-all nurse, which really wasn't an official position at Vanderbilt, but they needed somebody to take care of the overlap work, or the work that the primary nurse can't get to, which would be giving medication to this patient. So the nurse went to the automatic dispensing cabinet, accidentally took the wrong medication out, which was a paralytic, and she went and administered the paralytic to the patient. The patient lost their ability to breathe and was unattended, and basically became brain dead, and they took her off life support, where she died a few hours later.
Very tragic, very sad situation. And there's a lot of other little background things that were going on at the time. She had somebody that she was shadowing her, and there were all kinds of stuff going on.
Oh yeah, she was already on her way to another procedure, which nobody's talking about. They're talking about the wrong drug coming out of the medicine cabinet, but she was the first question in what we do is for human performance difficulty is asking if the person doing the work was overwhelmed or distracted. Well, this lady, she had an orientee with her that she was trying to explain things to. She was already on her way to another procedure. This wasn't her patient, so there's just a lot of factors that go into setting this up for failure.
And they're very common in the medical industry because they're very overtaxed. Everything's urgent.
It's true.
So, all right. So from there,
so an update.
The update, yes.
Yeah. So in February, they had a hearing because they charged this nurse with a couple felonies. They charged her with reckless homicide, and I think it's just so I get this right, adult abuse. So
that's an odd one.
It's crazy. So now we have criminalization of medical errors.
Right.
So how does that affect people's how they report errors that are happening? So the organization knows about them, can identify them, can put them through root cause analysis, find the root causes, and fix those root causes. If they don't do that, then all those root causes one day will line up exactly wrong, and something like this will happen again. And actually, it has.
Yes.
So since then,
since then,
there was a central line. A resident was doing a central line on a patient that was he wasn't being supervised, made a mistake, had some issues. After that, there was a lady that had a wrong site surgery. They operated on the wrong kidney, and now she's suing Vanderbilt for over $25 million.
That you hear that story a lot of where they've either the wrong knee or the wrong. I mean, you do hear that story. That is not an uncommon story.
And I know you've had experiences where you have to be your own best safeguard. You can't depend on anybody else.
You do. You have to, either be there to ask questions. Ask them, make them think real quick before they're shooting something in your arm. So what are you giving me? So how much are you giving me? If you're not not capable of talking for yourself, make sure you have somebody there who can talk for you and speak up for you, because they are overtaxed, and they're not there to do harm. They're there to do good. So this is quite devastating for this woman.
Oh, it's
not like she's not going to beat herself up for the rest of her life, because I can't imagine. I would wake up every morning and that would probably be the first thing on my mind, and it would just break my heart. So now she's got criminal charges.
Well, there are some bright spots if, criminal charges are bad. But the healthcare system the healthcare professionals rallied around her. They realized you can't criminalize medical errors, or nobody's going to report errors, and things are going to get worse.
Which is real tragic.
It's tragic. But over $70,000 have been raised for her legal fees. She had a lot of support when she went to her first hearing, and she pled not guilty to the charges.
It sounds like the family didn't even blame her.
The family said, we forgive the nurse.
Right.
Now,
I'm not sure if they're going to blame, but as of right now, they're not. I mean, they
forgave her.
Yes, they've forgiven her and have said that their mom wouldn't have wanted this for her.
Right. And then her next hearing is April 11th. So I'm sure we'll come back with an update after that hearing to let everybody know what's going on.
Well, so what can we do? What could be done here? What are some things that you think could help this culture and help medical facilities try to create an environment where these kind of things don't happen?
So I'm glad you asked.
That's why I'm here.
So going through putting together a patient safety course and using this as our cornerstone, there's a lot of things. There was a lot of opportunities to stop this sequence of events from reaching the patient. As we put together the SNAP chart, we were able to identify other problems. Like I said, it's really obvious that taking a paralytic or a high-risk medication out of the automatic dispensing cabinet, it's a problem.
Yes.
A taproot investigator would definitely dive on top of that and find out what safeguards were either missing, didn't work as intended, or needs to be created so this doesn't happen again. Got that. Most root cause analysis systems would figure that out. But with Taproot and really trying to get to all the evidence you can collect, organizing it in a snap chart so you can easily identify all the errors to fix so they all don't line up exactly wrong one day and cause this again. Other things that people aren't talking about is, the nurse taking care of this patient was not the primary nurse. The nurse taking care of the patient was overwhelmed and distracted. Nobody's talking about those pieces of it.
And those would be in a snap chart.
Those are a snap chart,
yes.
Easily identified. All the conditions surrounding that causal factor is right there. So when you do analyze that mistake for a root cause, it's really, really easy because all that information is lined up. And then once you find the root cause, Taproot makes it pretty easy to find corrective action with our corrective action helper. So we can put corrective actions that are validated, that are verified, so they work as intended, so we don't ever have to worry about the problem again. There's also, nobody's talking about this either, there's conflicting information about what do we do after we give a patient the medication. The nurse thought that she didn't have to be attended. The radiology tech thought they needed to be attended. And of course, the radiology tech deferred to the nurse, even though neither one of them were really sure what the policy was.
Well, and there's often hierarchy. There's definitely hierarchies in a hospital or medical facility, of seniority and the tech probably did defer to the nurse as what was right.
And like you said, everything's so busy and everything's so urgent. If you put yourself in their shoes, that tech, the PET scan was fully scheduled that day. So there was no extra time to sit with the patient. The nurse was already on her way to another procedure and trying to squeeze this in. So she was in a hurry. She had to get somewhere else. So, it really wasn't well thought out when, I gave the medication. They think it's just a sedative. So, hey, the patient's going to be okay and we'll walk away. So you can see how everything just lined up exactly wrong.
Now, just to say that we're not hypothesizing all of this, you've gotten this data.
So the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid went in and did a survey almost a year after this event. And all the information that we collected for the SNAP chart came directly from that report. Okay,
that's great. Great to know. Because you don't want to we say that all the time. You don't want to jump to conclusions. You don't want to assume things and things like that.
I will say, if you see that report, they did a really great job lining up exactly what happened. The interviews are on that report, word for word, what each of the people that played a part in this said about the event. So it is great information. And I think the last blog post I did put a link to that report.
Yeah, and we will also, like we said, we talked about this back in December, and we'll put a link to that Taproot TV episode in our comments, and we'll also put a link to the blog article that you're talking about now. This affects every industry in very much the same way. When we go back and talking about culture and people being afraid to speak up and say that there's an issue here or that something went wrong, that is something that affects every industry that we deal with, not just the medical industry. And anytime it gets to a criminalization type situation, people are going to be afraid to talk and express their feelings. And that just, like you said, things just line up again in the future for this to happen again.
Yeah. Management needs to know problems so they can be good stewards of their company. And if they don't know what the problems are because people aren't speaking up, how are they going to fix it?
Jim Weatherby at the summit, his talk about he was talking about a manager or a supervisor level type person who basically he took claim for if something went wrong in his department or with his people. He took the responsibility. It laid on his shoulders, but he created an environment that made people feel free to go tell him. And if he had them in an unsafe situation or there was something that could possibly go wrong, it's like, stop, take them, let's stop everything. Let's make this right, because if something goes wrong. And I think a lot of times, so here she was a help nurse.
Which wasn't even an official position or had a job description or had any kind of competencies attached to it.
So up the ladder, where something's going wrong too, up the ladder, it's more than just on the floor, what's going wrong on the floor. So
if you don't have that just culture and people are not communicating any mistakes and management doesn't have an opportunity to fix it, then the employees will never see truly that management cares enough to fix things. And if the management has an opportunity to fix things, well, then that'll kind of perpetuate a just culture, because the employees will say, oh, management was made aware. Nobody was blamed or fired. They were focused on improving systems and processes and putting safeguards to protect patients and the employees. And then that's just a very good cycle.
Well, this is what we do. We try to keep these things from happening. Marcus is pretty dedicated in the medical field for us, and we are so glad he's here. And you're doing blog articles and
healthcare newsletter,
a healthcare newsletter, all kinds of things aimed at helping what affects all of us at one time or another. So we really appreciate that very much. So we're going to get back together and we'll follow up and see what happens after do another update on this. Do you have anything else you wanted to add to cover all the points that you were wanting to talk about?
I believe so.
All right.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, if you want more information on how Taproot can help you at your company, whether you're in the medical industry or you're in the oil and gas industry, mining, you name it, we can help you. Contact us at info@taproot.com. You can go to our website, taproot.com. You can sign up for our newsletters from there and follow us on all of our social media platforms. We hope you enjoyed this segment today. Sometimes our segments aren't that fun to listen to because we deal with incidents on a regular basis, but please subscribe to our channel if you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook. Please like our page so you can follow things, and we also have podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher. So we hope to see you back here next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome. Thank you.